Come on, it's a stupid plant.
It's not a stupid plant, and I don't think it's a real good idea to, Pardon me? Oh, Herb. You wouldn't believe what Herb just called you. I don't know what.
What's happening, nostalgia enthusiasts?
Welcome back.
What if I revealed to you that CBS, that network which dominated the 1970s with MASH and All in the Family, dedicated most of the 1980s desperately launching sitcoms at the wall, hoping something would stick? And what if I revealed to you that essentially nothing managed to stick to that metaphorical wall? Visualize this. We're in the early 1980s.
No, it's just a little dry, I know. It's got to be a little dry. I have nothing to cook with. All I got here is a hot plate, toaster oven. I can't cook under these conditions.
CBS remains riding high with cornerstone shows like Dallas and 60 Minutes. Then suddenly, NBC ignites a revolution in 1984. The Cosby Show launches and gets paired on Thursday evenings with Family Ties and Cheers. Suddenly, the epicenter of gravity in television comedy shifts, and CBS becomes the network scrambling to catch up. CBS found itself stuck in a transitional period. Their viewership was aging out. Their comedy approach felt outdated compared to NBC's significantly more contemporary offerings. And every time CBS attempted something experimental, they would panic at disappointing ratings and cancel right away.
Anything?
Nothing you can give me.
Come on, hey, let me explain.
Don't explain, Ralph. Just go. Go.
So by the mid-1980s, CBS had dropped down to third position. In 1986 to 87, NBC averaged an 18.6 primetime rating. ABC, meanwhile, was pulling a 15.1, and CBS, while they sat at just a disappointing 14.9. For a network that ruled the 1970s, this was incredibly humiliating. Before we explore the depths of all this, do us a solid and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you believe your job is stressful, imagine being a CBS programming executive who acts a show after one season and then watch that same show transform into a multi-year success in syndication without your involvement. Without any further delay, let's discuss one of the most devastating cancellations in television history. Number 8, Working Stiffs from 1979.
Don't look at me. And go right back to California. I'm fat and I'm ugly.
Oh, come on, Nikki, you're not ugly. You're just fat.
All right, we're kicking things off with a show that CBS destroyed so quickly, it barely had the chance to exist. Working Stiffs. This program featured two future superstars, Michael Keaton and Jim Belushi, as custodians working at a Chicago office complex. The concept was simple: two ordinary working-class individuals navigating dead-end employment while aspiring for something greater. Keaton contributed his energetic presence. Belushi provided the blue-collar appeal. Together, they possessed authentic chemistry that should have sustained this show.
To be a mother, she's real, Ray.
So what do you want me to do, huh? Stick around? Jeez, I'll be miserable. Nicky will be miserable. The kid will be miserable. I'm doing it for them.
Working Stiffs premiered in September of 1979 on CBS, broadcasting Saturday evenings. The network positioned it in a highly competitive time slot against proven hits on rival networks. From the start, ratings were underwhelming. CBS management grew restless almost immediately. Here's the genuinely shocking aspect of this situation. CBS canceled Working Stiffs after airing only 4 episodes. 4? That's barely a month of broadcasts. The network didn't provide audiences any legitimate opportunity to find the show. They didn't permit word of mouth to develop. They simply panicked and eliminated it from the schedule.
I miss you. Yeah, I miss you too. Hey, look, I want to tell you something. I've been thinking about you. I was really bothered about you leaving Nikki here so long. You know, it's hard for her.
Looking back currently, the irony is completely mind-blowing. Michael Keaton would proceed to become Batman and earn critical recognition for Birdman and numerous major films. Jim Belushi constructed a lengthy television career, ultimately starring in, according to Jim, for 8 seasons. Both performers demonstrated they could anchor sitcoms and establish connections with audiences over extended periods. But in 1979, CBS examined these two gifted performers and determined after 4 episodes that they weren't worth the commitment. No second opportunities, no patience whatsoever. Just a swift cancellation and movement to the next project. With only 4 episodes created, Working Stiffs had absolutely zero opportunity at syndication. The show simply disappeared. Currently, it exists primarily as an intriguing what-if scenario. What if CBS had provided Working Stiffs even half a season? What if they'd relocated it to a superior time slot? What if they'd demonstrated just a small amount of confidence in Keaton and Belushi? We'll never have those answers. CBS ensured that outcome, and somewhere in the CBS storage facility, those 4 episodes remain as evidence that the network once possessed future stars in their possession and discarded them after less than a month. Number 7, Leo and Liz in Beverly Hills from 1986.
There is no tonic water. What are we gonna do?
Hey, come on, calm down.
I am calm.
Mom, do you have to get so hyper every time you give a party? She gets hyper every time she gives a party.
If Working Stiffs was excessively working class for CBS, then Leo and Liz represented the complete opposite extreme. Harvey Korman took the lead role as Leo Green, a bra manufacturer whose business explodes with success. Him, his wife, played by Valerie Perrine, and daughter moved from modest roots to Beverly Hills, a traditional culture collision, recently wealthy encountering established wealth. Imagine the Beverly Hillbillies, except set in 1986. The program debuted Fridays at 8:30 p.m. in April of 1986. It broadcast exactly 6 complete episodes before CBS removed it. Critical responses for the show were merely lukewarm. The writing was uninspired and humor was derivative. Friday evening was a ratings death sentence. With only 6 episodes, there existed no continuation for the show whatsoever. No syndication, no devoted following. Now it essentially exists as a trivia item. What was Corman's post-Carol Burnett show sitcom? The response? Not successful. The show attempted to capture that traditional rags-to-riches comedy approach that had succeeded decades prior. But by 1986, audiences had progressed. They desired something more contemporary, something more refined than basic class humor. Harvey Korman deserved superior material. He was a comedy icon, a master of physical comedy and timing from his years on the Carol Burnett show. But even his substantial talents couldn't rescue writing that felt outdated and predictable. CBS positioned Leo and Liz on Friday evenings, which in the mid-1980s was essentially a dead zone for new sitcoms. Friday was where programs went to quietly disappear. Younger audiences were out pursuing other activities. Families maintained different schedules. The viewership simply wasn't present in adequate numbers. After 6 weeks of disappointing ratings, CBS terminated it. No attempts to relocate it to a better evening. No marketing campaign to provide it a second chance. Just a quiet cancellation and removal from programming. The show left behind virtually nothing. 6 episodes weren't sufficient for syndication packages. There was no cult following that developed later. No retrospective appreciation for hidden quality in those episodes. Leo and Liz in Beverly Hills simply vanished and remain vanished. It represents a reminder that even legendary comedic talent cannot overcome weak material and terrible scheduling. Harvey Korman could have flourished in a well-written sitcom with proper network support. Instead, CBS provided him 6 episodes and a Friday night death slot, then questioned why it didn't succeed. Number 6, Raising Miranda from 1988.
We're looking good here, Miranda. We're looking really good here. I got your ham, I got your Swiss, got your tomato. All we need now is a little marshmallow and we're in business.
Oh, Daddy. Remember.
Now let's discuss one of the most peculiar sitcom concepts from the 1980s. What if we developed a show centered on a single father, but rather than his wife dying, she abandons the family to pursue self-discovery? Well, that would become the premise for a show titled Raising Miranda. James Naughton starred as Donald Marshak, a Midwestern contractor whose spouse walks out on the family. He's left raising an intellectually gifted 15-year-old daughter, Miranda, with assistance from Uncle Russell, portrayed by Bryan Cranston in an early career role. CBS premiered the show on Saturday evenings in November of 1988 against NBC's Amen. It averaged a 6.0 Nielsen rating, which is absolutely disastrous. Critics condemned the uncomfortable premise. The writing was predictable, and Saturday night scheduling proved catastrophic once again. By early 1989, CBS canceled Raising Miranda after broadcasting only 11 episodes. The premise itself generated problems that the show could never adequately overcome. Having a mother abandon her family wasn't exactly cheerful sitcom material. Audiences in 1988 wanted comfortable television, not complex family dynamics that resembled drama more than comedy. James Naughton performed admirably with the material provided. He brought warmth and authenticity to the character of Donald Marshak. But even skilled performers cannot repair fundamental issues with a show's foundation. And then there's Bryan Cranston as Uncle Russell. This was years before Breaking Bad would establish him as a household name. In Raising Miranda, he portrayed the comedic relief uncle, the entertaining single guy who assists his brother while delivering jokes and creating comic situations. Examining Cranston's performance currently, you can observe glimpses of the talent that would later emerge in Breaking Bad and Malcolm in the Middle. But in 1988, he was simply another working performer in a struggling sitcom that nobody was viewing. CBS scheduled Raising Miranda on Saturday evenings against established NBC programming. Saturday was transforming into a wasteland for network sitcoms by the late 1980s. The demographic that networks pursued, younger viewers with disposable income, simply weren't watching television on Saturday evenings. The show's ratings reflected this reality. A 6.0 Nielsen rating in 1988 meant the show was being watched by essentially nobody. Networks required shows generating at least double-digit ratings to justify maintaining them on air. Raising Miranda never approached that threshold. After 11 episodes, CBS canceled the show in early 1989. With such a limited episode count, there was zero possibility of syndication. The show disappeared entirely and remained disappeared for decades. Today, Raising Miranda is remembered mainly for being an early credit on Bryan Cranston's resume. It's the show he performed in before achieving fame. Beyond that, it's a footnote in CBS's extensive history of sitcom failures during the 1980s. Number 5, Foley Square from 1985 to 1986.
And a fine one you are on show.
Tackling a new career.
What do I do for privacy?
Go home at night. Then meet Assistant DA Harrigan.
I'm not going to tell you where we were or what we were doing.
Here's an interesting piece of information for you. Diane English, who created Murphy Brown, actually had a sitcom before Murphy Brown. That show was Foley Square, and CBS terminated it after 14 episodes. Foley Square was a workplace comedy situated in Manhattan's criminal courts. Margaret Collins starred as Alex Harrison, an assistant district attorney who was constantly overlooked by her superior. John Lovitz portrayed investigator Mollet in an early professional role. CBS paired this show with Mary Tyler Moore's return sitcom titled Mary on Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. in December of 1985, and both programs immediately failed. CBS was requesting viewers to watch 1970s-style workplace comedies when NBC was broadcasting The Cosby Show. By early 1986, both shows struggled at the bottom of ratings charts. CBS relocated Foley Square to Tuesdays in March. The audience remained minimal, even with this schedule change. CBS terminated the show on April 8th of 1986 after just 14 episodes. Critics actually appreciated this show. Reviewers praised Margaret Collins' performance. However, positive critical responses alone don't sustain shows when there's no audience watching. And with only 14 episodes, there was no syndication potential for Foley Square. The show possessed genuine quality. Diane English contributed intelligent writing and well-developed characters. The courthouse setting offered endless story possibilities. Margaret Collins demonstrated leading lady potential that would later materialize in other projects. John Lovitz, arriving from Saturday Night Live, contributed his distinctive comic persona to the investigator Mollet role. Even in this early work, you could recognize the comedic abilities that would establish him as a memorable character performer for decades. But quality alone doesn't guarantee success on network television. Foley Square faced impossible competition in its time slot. The Cosby Show was dominating Thursday evenings and transforming what audiences expected from sitcoms. CBS's workplace comedy appeared old-fashioned by comparison. The decision to pair Foley Square with Mary Tyler Moore's comeback sitcom appeared logical theoretically. Mary Tyler Moore was a legendary figure in television comedy. Surely her name recognition would attract viewers, correct? Incorrect. Mary Tyler Moore's new show couldn't recreate the success of her 1970s achievement, and it dragged Foley Square down with it. CBS moved Foley Square to Tuesdays in a final attempt to locate an audience. But by that point, the show's reputation was already damaged. Viewers who might have given it an opportunity had already dismissed it as another failed CBS sitcom. The cancellation arrived quickly. 14 episodes and finished. No second season. No opportunity to establish its footing or develop an audience over time. CBS executives examined the ratings, recognized failure, and terminated it. What makes this particularly frustrating is that Diane English learned from this experience and returned stronger. Murphy Brown, which she created just 2 years later, became a massive success for CBS and ran for 10 seasons. It demonstrated that English understood how to create successful workplace comedies. Foley Square was essentially a preliminary effort. English developed her abilities, learned what succeeded and what didn't, and applied those lessons to Murphy Brown. CBS benefited from that subsequent success, but they had already discarded Foley Square without providing it a genuine opportunity. Number 4, My Sister Sam from 1986 to 1988.
Patty Russell, this is my sister Sam. I just moved in.
We haven't lived together since we were kids.
I was raised by her aunt and uncle.
Yeah, things sure have changed. I used to dress her.
To be completely honest, not every program on this countdown actually deserves placement here. My Sister Sam actually succeeded. That is until CBS destroyed it with their catastrophic scheduling. Pam Dauber starred as Sam Russell, a San Francisco photographer whose existence gets disrupted when her 16-year-old sister Patty, portrayed by Rebecca Schaeffer, relocates to live with her. The show combined family comedy with a career environment. My Sister Sam premiered in October of 1986 between Kate and Allie and Newhart, which were 2 CBS successes. Season 1 concluded with My Sister Sam ranked number 21 in Nielsen ratings, which makes it also a legitimate success. So naturally, CBS renewed it. Then CBS made some catastrophic decisions. For fall of 1987, they relocated the show to Saturday evenings against NBC's Facts of Life. Ratings started collapsing for the show. By October of 1987, the show dropped from number 21 to the low 70s. This caused panic at CBS. They would then place the show on hiatus as of late 1987 and then return it to Tuesdays in March of 1988. And when ratings were still struggling amidst all this, they decided to cancel it in May of 1988. This left 12 season 2 episodes to never air on CBS. Soon after, USA Network acquired the show in 1989 and broadcast all 44 episodes. The show found audiences in cable that CBS destroyed with poor scheduling. However, My Sister Sam is remembered less for quality and more for tragedy. In 1989, Rebecca Schaeffer was murdered by an obsessed stalker. Her death would then lead to stricter laws on stalking. The cast for the show also reunited for gun control public service announcements. My Sister Sam should have run for years. Instead, CBS destroyed it, and its young star was murdered in a tragedy. And don't worry, with the murder of one of the show's stars, this event stands as the most tragic part of this list. The show succeeded because it understood something fundamental about family sitcoms. You didn't require a traditional nuclear family to create compelling comedy. 2 sisters from different generations, learning to coexist and navigate life's challenges, provided more than sufficient material for quality stories. Pam Dauber contributed warmth and comedic timing from her years on Mork and Mindy. She understood how to anchor a sitcom and make audiences invest in her character. Rebecca Schaeffer displayed incredible promise as the younger sister. She possessed natural charisma and comic ability that would have resulted in a long, successful career. When CBS relocated the show to Saturday evenings for season 2, they essentially sentenced it to death. Saturday evening in the late 1980s was where sitcoms went to die. The network understood this, yet they moved My Sister Sam there regardless, directly against NBC's established hit programming. The ratings collapse was immediate and predictable. A show that had been a solid performer in a quality time slot suddenly couldn't locate an audience on Saturday evenings. CBS then compounded the mistake by removing the show off the air completely, leaving episodes unaired and fans confused about what happened to a show they'd been enjoying. When USA Network picked up the rights and broadcast all the episodes, including the ones CBS never aired, the show found audiences again. It demonstrated that My Sister Sam wasn't the problem. CBS's scheduling decisions were the problem. My Sister Sam stands as evidence that CBS in the 1980s could take a functioning show and destroy it through incompetent scheduling and panic-driven decision-making. The network possessed a hit and discarded it. Number 3, Frank's Place from 1987 to 1988.
How are you today, Reverend? I'm on hold. Me too. I take it our Yankee friend ain't here yet.
Visualize this. You are a CBS executive in 1987. Someone presents you an idea for a single-camera comedy drama with no laugh track. One about a Boston professor who inherits a Creole restaurant in New Orleans and gets drawn into the lives and politics and culture of the people who work there. What would your response be? Perfect for prime time was the response that was chosen here in 1987 for a show called Frank's Place. And on paper, this should have succeeded. Tim Reed, who is fresh off of WKRP in Cincinnati, stars in this as the character Frank Parrish, a straight-laced academic who inherits the restaurant Chez Louisiane. When he attempts to sell it and leave, the staff, especially the formidable Miss Marie, make it clear that this place and its traditions aren't letting go that easily. The show used humor to explore race, class, labor, and Southern identity in a way that network sitcoms simply didn't do at the time. And it turns out critics loved this show. Frank's Place earned an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Comedy Series, won itself the Humanitas Prize, and even took home a Television Critics Association Award. Years later, TV Guide ranked it number 3 on its list of shows canceled too soon. So, what is it that went wrong? To put it simply, CBS didn't really know what to do with this show. The network moved the show around repeatedly, which only confused viewers. Audiences weren't sure whether it was a comedy or a drama. Production costs for Frank's Place were also way higher than standard sitcoms, and music licensing, especially for its iconic New Orleans sound, made the show all rather expensive to rerun or release. And then there was the politics. Multiple insiders and journalists have reported that the CEO of CBS at the time, Lawrence Tisch, disliked the show's critiques of wealth and corporate culture, including an episode touching on junk bonds, an uncomfortable topic given his background in finance. While no single memo seals its fate, the belief that the show made executives uneasy has followed it ever since. CBS aired 22 episodes before canceling Frank's Place in 1988. For years, it was unavailable on home video due to music rights issues, making it a legend more than a rerun staple. In hindsight, Frank's Place wasn't a failure. It was more like a preview. It looked a lot more like prestige television decades before TV even knew what prestige television was. The show was genuinely groundbreaking. The single-camera format without a laugh track was almost unheard of for sitcoms in 1987. Today, that's the standard for prestige comedy. But back then, CBS didn't understand what they had. Tim Reed delivered a nuanced performance as Frank Parrish. He wasn't playing for big laughs or broad comedy. He was creating a real character in a real world, navigating complex situations with intelligence and dignity. That kind of performance didn't fit the traditional sitcom mold. The supporting cast brought New Orleans to life. The restaurant setting allowed the show to explore culture, food, music, and community in ways that felt authentic and respectful. This wasn't a sitcom making easy jokes about regional stereotypes. It was a show genuinely interested in telling stories about real people and real places. CBS's scheduling chaos hurt the show tremendously. They moved it multiple times, confusing the audience that was trying to find it. People who enjoyed the show couldn't keep track of when it aired. New viewers couldn't discover it because it kept disappearing and reappearing in different time slots. The production costs were indeed high. Shooting on location, licensing authentic New Orleans music, maintaining high production values, all of this cost money. CBS looked at the expenses, looked at the ratings, and decided it wasn't worth continuing. The political angle remains controversial. Lawrence Tisch did have a background in finance. The show did critique corporate culture and wealth. Whether his personal feelings influenced the cancellation decision remains speculation. But multiple people involved with the show have suggested it played a role. With only 22 episodes and complex music licensing issues, Frank's Place essentially disappeared from television for years. It became one of those shows people remembered fondly, but couldn't actually watch. The legend grew larger than the actual episodes. Looking back now, Frank's Place appears decades ahead of its time. It predicted the kind of sophisticated single-camera comedy that would dominate prestige television in the 2000s and beyond. But in 1987, CBS wanted traditional sitcoms with laugh tracks and simple stories. Frank's Place was neither of those things, so CBS killed it. And there you have it, nostalgia enthusiasts. 6 CBS sitcoms from the 80s that never had a fair chance. Some of these shows, like Frank's Place, were a little too sophisticated. Some of them were destroyed by terrible scheduling, like My Sister Sam. And some of them, like Working Stiffs, were canceled so quickly they barely had time to exist. And here's what's wild about this. CBS's desperation, their willingness to try anything, their panic-driven cancellations, Their complete inability to compete with NBC gave us some genuinely interesting television. Most of it failed, but some of it was really, truly brilliant. Frank's Place should have won Emmys for years. My Sister Sam should have run for seasons. And Working Stiffs gave us proof that CBS looked at Michael Keaton and Jim Belushi and said not interested after a whopping 4 episodes. The point I'm trying to make here is that these failures all tell us something important. Being ahead of your time is oftentimes indistinguishable from failure. The difference between the two is timing and patience. And CBS in the 1980s had neither of those. So, did we miss your favorite CBS flop? Were you one of the 7 or 8 people who actually watched Raising Miranda? Do you think Frank's Place deserved better? Let us know in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this trip through CBS's comedy graveyard, then do us a favor and hit the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'd like to thank you so much for your time and for watching. And remember this, just because a show got canceled doesn't mean it wasn't a good show. Sometimes the best television is the stuff that the networks didn't understand. See you next time, nostalgia enthusiasts.